Hello people of Earth. So today I'm going to be reviewing Plastic Soldiers. This is an early access game on Steam available for 99 cents. Plastic Soldiers is very clearly inspired by a game called The Mean Greens, and they use the exact same concept. Essentially you play as plastic green army men and fight each other. Generally in teams, though The Mean Greens does have free-for-all, this game does not. However, I'm going to stop bringing up the Mean Greens because I'll be reviewing that in a separate video. Now, I'll mention that the frame rate may look awful here, and that's because it was, while I was recording at least. This game has several bugs which I'll get into near the end of the video, but whenever I would record the frame rate would just tank, otherwise the performance was perfect, so I'm not sure how to explain that. One thing I noticed that annoys me is there's no options other than full screen and then the resolution. And also the netcode seems to be pretty bad. Like, I'd be connecting with someone in the same house as me, and the ping would be up to 160, with an average of around 120 and a minimum of 60. I'll start with going over the mechanics. So all players seem to be exactly the same, there's no class system, and you have limited stamina, so you can sprint for a limited amount of time, then you have to wait for it to recharge. What doesn't recharge, however, is your health. As far as I can tell, your health stays exactly the same, so if you lose it, that health's lost until you die and respawn. So you start off completely unarmed, and you can select one of several types of pistols. Now, all the pistols are available from right around the spawn point. There's an automatic handgun, a semi-automatic handgun, and then a handgun that can kill a player in one hit. Not all that far away from spawn, you'll find primary weapons. This consists of shotguns, assault rifles, and sniper rifles. Beyond sniper rifles, there are weapons that take up the same slot, but I wouldn't consider them primary. They're more like special weapon types, and these consist of the minigun and the rocket launcher. The minigun has a pretty vast supply of ammo, and you can wipe out just about any player very easily with it. The rocket launcher, however, only has one rocket to use. Though the rocket launcher is deadly, I found no real reason to use it other than to get 100% achievements. The last thing I'm going to mention for weapons is the grenades and the trip mines. Both are pretty self-explanatory. You put out a trip mine, someone walks over it, kaboom. Grenades, you throw them, kaboom. It's exactly what you would expect. The movement speed in this game is relatively slow and the weapons pack quite a punch, so the result is a weird mix of slow movement but very deadly weapons. It's actually pretty addictive. Usually games either have fast movement with very deadly weapons or slow movement where everybody's a bullet sponge. This game uses its own mix of the two, which gives it a unique feel. The two game modes currently available are Team Deathmatch and Capture the Flag, and those are available across 3 maps. The maps all have very creative names such as Attic, Sandbox, and Bathroom. No, I'm not joking, that's the actual names of these maps. At least you'll never be confused about what is in which map. Creative names aside, Attic is a sort of 2-layered map. It's pretty exposed and there's a couple of scaffold type areas where you can go up 1 layer higher. But mainly all the combat takes place on one plane. It's the least interesting of the maps and in my opinion the ugliest one too. The only reason it's even enjoyable at all is because the gameplay is solid. And Bathroom, I actually like it. The colors are a bit muted, but overall I'd say it looks okay, and it's much more layered. It's got a more confusing, convoluted layout, which makes it feel a lot more stressful in battles. Both of those maps are Team Deathmatch. However, Sandbox is different. It's Capture the Flag. Now, Sandbox is definitely my favorite map of the 3. It looks the best, and in my opinion plays the best. The map's relatively open with one large obstruction. Now, this obstruction is so large you don't really have any choice but to go through it, through these small tunnels. On the other end, you'll run right into the enemy. Now, you can go around, but that would take longer. What a lot of people do is they go around the sides and wait for an enemy to come nearby so they can snipe them. It doesn't really matter how you play as long as you can get the enemy flag back to your flag to claim it. This is also the only map that doesn't have a time limit. The first person to reach 3 flags wins. I've had matches on this map reach near 20 minutes long, and it never felt like it overstayed its welcome. This always brought forth the most challenge because of how vulnerable each player is. You have to be able to make a round trip without dying, because if you do, chances are they'll return their flag. So if you're playing and someone picks a map other than Sandbox, they're an idiot. So, do I recommend this game? Well, if you couldn't tell, I really like this game. And it's really cheap. So that means, yes, I do recommend it. Unfortunately though, being that it's early access and such an obscure game, I'm not sure how long the player base will hold up. I'd say grab it now before the players leave. It's so cheap, you're guaranteed to get at least a couple hours of fun out of it before the player base is gone, and hopefully they don't leave and they stay around. This game gets much bigger, but that's probably just wishful thinking. Before you go, I've got to talk about the glitches, because this game has a lot of them, especially since it just came out on early access today. This is November 16th if you're wondering. I've had matches with only about 4 people, yet it's claiming 7 people voted for the same map, when there's not 7 players total. Also, the frame rate freaks out whenever I record while playing this game. I'd imagine if I had set up OBS instead, it probably would have worked better because I'm using the Windows 10 recorder, but it just felt more convenient to use that, and it's kind of disappointing that I can't just record a video like that. Sometimes the HUD won't even show up when you're playing. Like, seriously, I've had to go entire matches without a heads-up display, and that may not sound like much, but aiming without a crosshair, at least for me, is a huge pain. And the worst glitch that made the game unplayable for my first 15 minutes of play was this weird glitch, and I've been able to replicate it every time I've tried, where I'm interacting with a menu and then I get killed, and that will basically force that menu to be stuck over my screen at all times. And you can't play with a menu obstructing a third of the screen. So that was my review of Plastic Soldiers, the very first version released. I definitely recommend that you check this game out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.